Jerry Duggan and Pepe Larraz finish up the battle for Game World as Jean fights to free her friends from Cordyceps Jones, while Cyclops makes the big decision regarding Ben Urich and his mutant story. Jerry Duggan finishes up his newest X-Men team story just in time for Judgment Day by wrapping up the very long-running Game World and Ben Urich storylines in really satisfying ways that look like they'll inform some upcoming arcs after we get out of the Judgment Day event. While the Game World story has been fun, it felt like there was quite a bit of build-up and then a very brisk finale. Like, only last issue was the team assembled to go to Game World, and they just kind of solved the problem immediately. At least Cordyceps Jones was left alive, so there is hopes that he can come back since he was a really interesting concept for a villain, and it also leaves the door open for Mojo to make his return, being that Mojo sort of massaged events to make them go his way and sort of take down Jones, so I'm looking forward to seeing him make a return into these comics at some point. The more interesting side of the story that I found was the Cyclops battle with Dr. Stasis, who was revealed to be Mr. Sinister, and maybe possibly the real one, or at least this version of Nathaniel Essex believes he's the real one. We also learned that he's working with Fei Long and MODOK, connecting up the other arcs Duggan did earlier in the book. Ben Urich also finally reveals his big story on the X-Men's Resurrection Protocols, and I'm so glad he actually got to tell it, and Synch and Cyclops had this really great meeting with him, with Synch sort of explaining why he did what he did, and Ben understanding it fully, seeing as that he's gone through something similar. With the Resurrection Protocols now out there in the public, it opens so many doors for different stories to be told now, especially with the mutants and the Quiet Council, which is what I'm really looking forward to, being that they never wanted anyone to know about this. Scott was kind of going against them when he did what he did, and it angered them, so I'm intrigued to see what their reactions to all of this is going to be. Duggan did a fantastic job tying all of these different arcs together while also making the X-Men a true hero team of all the people on Earth again, something that they were missing quite a fair bit of in recent years, and I like that that was Scott's mandate for the team, to bring them back into prominence as a hero team. Pepe Larraz finishes out his arc on the book with some strong, colourful action artwork in the front half of the book and some great character focus work in the back half. I love Pepe's flow when it comes to action, and everything moves at a really nice pace, and thanks to his very clean line work, it's really easy to follow and you're never lost about what's happening. X-Men issue 12 finish up this iteration of the team's stories for now before Judgment Day, wrapping up Game World in a rather brisk yet satisfying way, while also continuing the utterly brilliant Ben Urich Cyclops story and changing how the world will see mutants forever. I'm going to give this issue a 9.5 out of 10. X-Men issue 12 finds Cyclops beating Dr. Stasis, who is revealed to be Mr. Sinister. He blows up the man's civilian costume he has in a stasis chamber, knowing that beating Sinister never gets old. Scott says that when he is done with the villain, he's going to enjoy a nice meal with his family, then walk across Krakoa and dunk the real Sinister in the volcano. This Sinister is upset that Scott thinks that he's a puppet here, and Sinister on Krakoa is just a failed experiment, knowing that he swiped Thunderbird's DNA. Scott finds it interesting that this villain thinks he's the real Nathaniel Essex, and no matter what he calls himself, his hypocrisy on reincarnation is breathtaking. Mr. Sinister assures Scott that he is indeed the real Nathaniel Essex as Synch arrives and learns that Sinister is going to detonate the explosives he's hidden around the town above them. Scott asks Synch if he's telling the truth as an explosion rocks the roof above them, bringing it down on them. Cyclops tackles Synch out of the way and back into the tunnel, cutting them off from Sinister, who says that the hero will be running off to save the people who hate him. Scott says they don't do it for the adulation, and he should thank Sinister for the opportunity to change the hearts and minds of those who hate him. Sinister knows that they are going to use what he loves the most to destroy Cyclops, hoping Scott understands that he's not a genocidal monster, he's just a doctor and the planet has been made ill by all of the mutants, wishing that they would just leave Earth for the stars like they are doing on Mars. Scott tells him to watch his back as Scott and Synch head for the surface, finding that fittingly they are in Essex County now. Synch gets looking for the bombs as Sinister returns to his home, burning it all down, but not before taking a picture, knowing he'll fix what the broken little boy is on the picture, but not before he cuts the cancer out of the world. On the Game World, the infected Wolverine attacks Jean as Cordyceps Jones suggests that they put her in the Decagon. Rogue tries to stop Wolverine but ends up getting her hand stabbed through in the process. Jean is glad for the distraction though, as she is able to slip into Jones's mind, knowing it really is like a sewer in there as the infected Polaris traps Rogue in a construct, as Jean knows that while Rogue is one of the most durable mutants ever, even she can't last against Polaris. Rogue is shot out into space as Jones demands someone finally kill Earth, since the water alone on the planet is worth a fortune to him. He quickly realizes that Jean showed him what he wanted to see, as it's revealed that Jean has had full control of Jones and Rogue is safe and sound. Rogue returns, asking if Jean wants a hand since 2 Omega mutants are better than 1. Rogue takes a little of Jean's powers, helping her keep Jones under her control, and impressed Jean's telekinesis can grab something as small as his spores. Jean and Rogue suck all of the spores out of Wolverine and the other patrons as Polaris seals them inside one of her shields, knowing that she's put up with the grossest crap since becoming an X-Man, knowing that Emma said that being an X-Man would be the best days of her life, but she hasn't so much as kissed or slapped a single handsome man yet. Jones tells the women that they can't do this to him as Wolverine grabs him, demanding that he let them do this or she's going to get to do her thing and his day will get even worse. She throws Cordyceps Jones into Polaris' shield, imprisoning him with the spores, as Jones thinks that he can squeeze through some of the small gaps in the bubble, but Polaris knows the only thing that escapes her bubble is light, and his spores are much bigger than that. Wolverine thinks that he deserves worse than prison, as Jones wants to know how much Mojo is paying them. Polaris tells him to shut up as she seals the bubble with metal from around the casino. Jones knows that it was only business, but Laura knows to them it was personal, and if he ever sees them again, it will be his end. Polaris finishes off the prison for Cordyceps Jones as Rogue reveals that they didn't just save Earth, since each of the gaming tables on the planet were for a different planet, so they actually just saved trillions, perhaps even more. Jean remembers how at the gala, Rogue told her that nobody is saving anything without her, and she was right. Jean tells the high rollers that are still there that they are free to leave as long as they convoy every captive who wants off of Game World, and the rest of them are free to go as well. She knows the rest who want to stay, Game World belongs to them as long as they don't seek to harm defenseless worlds, and if they do that and stay straight, the X-Men of Earth will be their friends. Back on Earth, Scott and Synch meet with Ben Urich, wanting to go on record since Ben had a story and he lost it, but he was right about mutantum solving death, and while Scott can't talk about the tech, he knows that it only works on mutants. Ben wonders why they are returning the story now, so Scott says that if they don't stand for truth, then they are just another council and the world has enough of them. Synch reveals that he took Ben's memory out of the story to protect his people because he was afraid and scared after Cyclops' death. Ben knows that that's not the first time he's forgotten a story, and he knows that he was afraid of the truth back then, but came to do the right thing as well, just like Synch is doing now. Synch wants to give Ben his memories back, but Ben doesn't want them since while the story was taken from him, he has it again, and he has to keep his perspective on the moment, and he can't have Synch's interpretation of his perspective, and he already knows what he needs to know. Scott knows that the truth is worth fighting for and dying for, and Synch knows that dying still sucks. Ben wants to quote him on that, thanking the mutants for breakfast and his notebook. He warns them that it's going to be hard on the mutants for a while, but Synch and Scott know that's nothing new for them. Ben gets writing, knowing that he's got a story which will change everything as mankind has been after immortality forever, pursuing it through science and faith, and mutants are the ones who have discovered their own holy grail, and humanity can't drink from it. Ben knows that the haves and have-nots now have a new arms race, but if the mutants follow the X-Men, they will be okay, but who knows where they're going to go now. However, he is sure the X-Men will keep fighting for them, whatever their genes say they are. He knows that the X-Men don't stop and ask what species you are when they are pulling your ass out of the fire, remembering the people in Madrid as the city is attacked by Mole Man and the X-Men are quick to respond. Cyclops knows that talking with Urich will probably cost him his spot on the team, asking who is going to stay, but Jean knows that they don't have to change out every roster spot, but Polaris says that she is letting chance take her where she needs to go. Rogue knows that she'd love to stay, but her destiny lies elsewhere as her mother is in a mood, making all sorts of claims now, as Sunfire knows that he had hoped the X-Men was his final home, but there is something more important on Arakko for him to do, but if he is ever needed, they only need to ask him. Wolverine knows that she is undecided yet, but will let the team know before the gala, but she wants to say the magic words, saying the iconic "to me, my X-Men" line as she cuts her way through Mole Man's machines. Scott knows that now there is only 3 of them left on the team, and Synch assures him and Jean that he's going to stay, wondering if Cyclops really is worried about his spot on the coming election. action. Scott knows that the Quiet Council will be furious, but he hopes their people will take a breath and realize that with time, Cyclops was right. On Phobos, the Dr. Stasis Mr. Sinister arrives to meet with MODOK and Fei Long, telling them that the X-Men are the worst of all the mutants. Fei Long tells him the good news since the science checked out on the samples that Sinister sent him, and Sinister is glad, but it's unfortunate they didn't get to hang the mutants with the lie, but the humans will beg them to kill the mutants soon, hoping that their friend is ready for her debut at the Mutant Gala since it will be the fall of the mutants.